Hello everyone, Jamie Mendez, owner of Magical Me, spiritual intuitive and spiritual teacher, here today to discuss the importance of working with your shadows. So what does that mean? Well, as maybe some of you have heard me speak before, we have to have balance in everything in our life. So same as we have feminine and masculine energy, or yin and yang, heaven, if you want to call it, and earth. We've got balance in everything, night and day, summer, winter. The world and the universe works with polarity, as do we, because what happens without also happens within. So as we have light, we also have dark, and that is within us. So we cannot be we cannot be more of one than any other. Okay, so someone like me, who is what people refer to as a light worker, someone who helps other people and constantly works to bring enlightenment and spirituality on a global level, by Reiki healings or spiritual guidance and teaching, things like that on that level. I work a lot with the light, and I do work with, let's say, archangels. But then there are times where I am feeling like I need to get down into my shadows and work with my shadows. So what are shadows? Shadows are the aspects of yourself that you keep hidden. Sometimes they're the darker aspects of yourself, being the not so nice ones, the ones you don't want to show to other people. And sometimes there are just shadows that are emotions that are, sadness and maybe anger and things like that, that you have deep, that you're holding on to for some reason. I'll give you an example of the, because let me just explain that a lot of people think that shadows mean bad. That's not true. Your shadows are absolutely necessary. And sometimes I will work with shadow goddesses or darker goddesses in the same sense that I'll work with archangels. So sometimes maybe I need to work with Hecate, or sometimes I need to work with Lilith, because that is the energy that I need to embrace for me to learn whatever lesson is I'm currently learning, or get through whatever situation I'm experiencing. It's okay to sometimes, and actually the moon itself goes through a shadow phase. It's called the dark of the moon, and this is right at the new moon time where we're getting ready to start over again. So once a month, it's actually important that we as individuals work with our shadows. And we are coming out of the full moon, and the full moon is a time of releasing as well as empowering. It's because it's the heightened time of the circular cycle that the moon goes through, where it builds up to the full moon, and then you're getting ready to go down and release and decrease in energy, and that's the time of the shadow. That is the time when we work. So this is actually the perfect time to be working and focusing on your shadows. And I'll give you a quick example of a good time to call in your shadows, and when you need to, or other people refer to it as your shadow self. I had a situation, let's say, in my house where my family likes to neglect a lot of the chores and the housework, and so it's easier for mom just to do everything on her own, because it's less stressful than to wait on anybody else. And if I want something done right, got to do it myself, right? Wrong. What happens is I'm building up animosity called shadows, and I'm holding on to resentment or anger because people didn't do what I needed them to do, or because I'm losing all of my time throughout the day because I'm busy doing everybody else's housework, and the only person taking care of 4 people and animals, what have you. So now I'm holding on to anger and emotions and low vibrating emotion that eventually is going to explode, because that's what it has to do. It eventually has to come out somehow, and it can affect me negatively. It can affect my family negatively. Repression is never good. So sometimes it's good to bring up that shadow, and sometimes you need to face it and deal with it head on. Even sometimes you have to let that shadow self of yours roar in order to establish boundaries. And so that's exactly what I did. The full moon brought out in me things that needed to be let go and released. And so I spent the whole day yesterday in my shadow self telling everybody what I was sick and tired of dealing with. And it's funny because I just pulled the Oracle guidance for the week for the world as a collective, and I post it on my business page every Monday. And it said the same exact thing. For us on a global level, we are all being forced to release things that we've been holding on to that are no longer serving us. So for me, it's no longer serving me to do all of the housework all on my own, to clean up after other people. It's draining my energy. It's taking away from my happiness. It's making me angry at my family. And it's also, it's taking my time where I could be doing other productive things. So it's blocking me. But this is my own self allowing this to happen. So what happened was I took on my shadow self and I roared a little bit and told everybody what I was sick of and what I would no longer tolerate and what I was tired of. So that was a good example of me dealing with my shadow self and facing those issues that were bothering me finally and letting them go. And today, since I brought that into the light, I feel much better. So everybody's situations are different. But I'm going to encourage you to take this opportunity, this time of shadow, and go within, look at what shadows are there. Cast some light upon that and bring it out into the light. Deal with it and move on. Okay? I hope you enjoyed this little lesson on shadows and working with your shadow self and how very important it is, because if you do not, you cannot, remember, you can't be light all the time. And you can't have lightness if you don't first know darkness. So bring them into balance and do not see one better than the other. Do not repress the other one. A lovely, magical day. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye now.